All right, Coach. Obviously, there were some scoring droughts at times. Just how much did the time off, the 12 days since the last game? I know there were some COVID issues with practice potentially. Just how much did that kind of affect offensive rhythm?
It definitely affected our rhythm. It's too choppy. Things are kind of broken up, but we haven't had very many practices. We practiced probably all of 1.5 times before playing this game. And, but I give Temple a lot of credit. I thought Temple, they outplayed us. It starts there. I thought they did a good job. They executed well, and they outplayed us. But no, we've only had about a practice and a half in the last probably 10 days or so.
And Coach, I imagine that you haven't had Darius Perry during that time either, and then you didn't have him today. What did missing him today, what was the impact of missing him today on the offense?
Well, it just hurts our chemistry. I mean, you're trying to get, guys in position where they get a rhythm, getting into a flow, but, it's been so disjointed with, postponements, not playing and then playing. So that's been difficult. And so not having him hurt because just when you get him into a rhythm, then he's out again. So, but you know what? There's nothing anybody can do. We understand it's a COVID year, and we just have to keep fighting, and try to keep working on the things that we're struggling with and get better. And it's still a long season ahead of us.
Coach, I want to follow up on what you just said there. How can a team get better when you have the disruptions that you have and you don't have all of your players when you are able to practice?
Well, hopefully, I think we all are hopeful that, we don't experience this again this season. We've had this happen a few times now. So hopefully, we can go forward and we can have a stretch where, like early in the season when we got started, where we didn't have these things happening. So, I think we overdue for a stretch like that at this point in time where we can go out there and compete and have some continuity where we know we go out there, we're practicing every day and we're able to play within, like 2 games a week, like a lot of teams are playing. We haven't had that ability. We played 2 games since December 26th, and that's hard on anybody. It's hard, and it's really hard on our players. And so, but like I said, there's nothing anybody can do about it. It's that type of year, and we just have to keep working through
it. You guys were down by as many as 10 on this in the scoring drought, but you somehow found a way to get back in the game, made it a 3-point game, and then Darren steps out of bounds on the inbound pass. What was the play drawn up there, and what really happened in the second half where you guys struggled shooting threes, I guess?
Well, I think what happened was that we ended up being in a position where, we drew up something at the timeout to get Darren a good look. I thought we had a good look. He just stepped out of bounds. I mean, again, just not as sharp as you would be if you were playing every week, a couple of times a week, and you were practicing in between. And that just happens. I mean, you can't, throw a guy in there from a good, 5-on-5, a good practice and a half, 5-on-5 in the last probably 7 to 10 days. So, but I thought he did his best to get open. He freed himself up, and unfortunately stepped out of bounds. That was the play.
And they said you really only had one practice before the game. So when did you have a green light that you were okay to play this game? Did that come on Tuesday? Was that kind of when you guys realized you could get back together and practice again, or?
Yeah, we had a practice and a half because the day before game practice, you can imagine, it's not going to be a heavy-duty practice. And so we had one solid practice prior to that, and then a light practice yesterday before coming up here. So that's what we've done. And, we've had smaller groups, of course, because, some guys can get in there some, but, when you talk about, 5, 6 guys, it's tough to run a full-fledged practice under those conditions.
Coach, obviously the postponements have been due to positive tests and contact tracing within the program. Have you had discussions with players? Have they discussed with you about their safety in the program? Have they told you that maybe there's things that they don't feel safe about? Or is there any trepidation inside the program with your players?
It doesn't seem to be. Our guys, they made a commitment this summer to compete, and that's what they're doing. And I haven't heard them say anything otherwise since then. And some of the ones that we've been postponed have been on us. Some of the ones we could have played, so it wasn't all on us every time. So it's a virus that's going around. I don't think anybody can control it. And so you can try to be careful and try to wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask. I think those things definitely help you. But when something's in the air like this right here, you're susceptible to catching it in some of the most awkward times. And, And once one person gets it, as you imagine, and you contact trace everyone, and all of a sudden you look at it, you got half your team or most of your team out. Nothing you can do about that. So our guys, I think, are trying to be careful, trying to do the right things. It just a function is very difficult to control, and especially as in Florida where we are, the numbers have been pretty high, so that makes it more difficult.
Another game where Brandon struggles, confidence lacking there, and what can you do to restore his confidence?
Well, I mean, like any player, you got to fight out of it. I mean, you're going to receive every team's best shot, and he's earned every team's best shot by how he started the season off. So now he has to adjust to that. And like I say, when you're accustomed to that, and that's been what you've done for years, then it becomes easier to kind of make the adjustments necessary. When it's something that you're doing for the first time that I can recall on the D1 level, then there's adjustment, and he needs an adjustment period. It's been 7 games. He's had a few games that have been subpar compared to what he had been doing, most of the season. And I think he's good enough, and he's a confident enough player that he'll fight out of it and figure out what he needs to do to be successful.
I know the team hadn't played in 12 days, but Isaiah Adams was even longer because he didn't play in the last one. So how good was it to see him kind of come back and pick up where he left off?
I mean, it says a lot about Isaiah. I mean, like you said, he was out even longer. He was out sick prior to, the COVID situation. So he's been out for almost close to 3 weeks, it feels like. And I thought he came back in and he barely missed a beat. He came in and gave us a lot of energy off the bench. He gave us a spark, to be quite frank.
Coach, Temple made that buzzer beater at the end of the first half, and then obviously went on that run to start the second. How do you think that impacted the game going forward?
I think it gave them some momentum. I thought they got in rhythm when that happened, and that's part of what happens in the game. It's a game of runs. I thought they ended on a good run, by hitting that 3, tied the ball game up at halftime, and then they came out and hit a couple of threes right behind that, and no question, it gave them some momentum for sure to start the second half.
Stay on the road now at Houston. A couple weeks back, tough challenge with the Cougars. What are you expecting from them Sunday?
Another hard-fought game. It's going to be physical. They're a tough team. They're a very good team, and they're well coached. So I know it's going to be a game that we're going to have to come in and really, you have to play almost mistake-free basketball versus them, because any kind of mistake you make, they make you pay. So I think we got to be really sharp with what we're doing offensively, and we can't have defensive miscues.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll wrap up there. Thanks, everybody, for being on, and we'll see you for Houston.
All right, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Coach.